Hi, welcome. In this video, we're going to get started on programming assignment 2. So I'm going to go here into my assignments and take a look at program 2. So program 2, the purpose of this assignment is just to do some more practice with printf and scanf, and you're also going to use the 2 lower and 2 upper functions from ctype.h. So let's download the instructions. All right, so this is a programming assignment. You're going to need to include stdio.h for printf and scanf and ctype.h for the 2 upper and 2 lower functions. It's a very simple program, so I'm just going to go down and take a look at the sample output. So you're basically just going to create a program that's going to introduce yourself with a greeting, ask the user to enter their initial. The reason we're not getting the user's name yet is because we have not learned how to process strings in C yet, but by the end of the semester, you will be able to process full strings. But right now, we're just going to use the initial. The user can enter the initial in upper or lowercase, and once they enter the initial, you're going to change it to uppercase, and then you're going to ask them how many cups of coffee they drink per day, how much they spend per cup, and then do a simple calculation. So this is a very simple interactive program. So I'm going to get started by launching. Now, if I were the student, I would read very carefully these instructions. So be sure that you read these instructions carefully. And if at any time something is not clear or you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Also, just as a reminder, in your course, you have this section on how to get help. So instructions for how to email me to get help. You can go to WebEx sessions. You have a TA has office hours, and there's also an SI leader that is offering office hours. But be sure that you put your subject on when you are emailing me, and be sure that you include a current version of your code. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to start from scratch on Visual Studio just to remind you how to create an empty project. So I'm going to create a new empty project. I'm going to make sure that it is an empty project. This is going to be project 2. I'm going to call it program 2. And I'm going to create it. So now I'm going to add the source code to my project. So I need to look at the instructions of the assignment to be sure of what source code name. So the name of the source code is program2.c. So I'm going to have to name it program2.c. And please be careful to read the instructions on what the name of your source code is. So project, add new item. It's a C++ file, but we're going to name it with a C extension. So it's going to be called program2.c. And I'm going to add that. And now it's time to get started on my assignment. So I also provided for you with your assignment, I always provide a sample for you to get started. So let's take a look at it. I can download this simple code that will help you get started. So I don't want to open it. I'm going to open it with Notepad. And copy and paste it into my project. Remember that if you launch Visual Studio with your source code file, it will not create a project. So you need to create a project first and then copy and paste that into your project that you've already created. So now it's in here, and this is just a skeleton to help you get started. And I'm going to make sure that there isn't anything wrong with this skeleton. So I will build it. And it's not going to do anything, but at least I know that it does not have any problems. So the only part I'm going to get started for you is getting the initial and changing it to uppercase. And then the rest of the program you're going to have to complete on your own. So greeting the user, I'm just going to say printf hello. This is not correct. You need to add more to it. You need to add your name and some more information. But I'm just going to just print hello onto the screen. And then I'm going to ask the user to enter an initial. Enter your first initial. And then I'm going to use scanf to get the initial. It doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase. You're just going to get the initial from the user. So you use scanf. Make sure when you're scanning only with a character that you put a space here, %C. The reason that you put the space between the quotation and the % mark is because you want to tell the compiler to ignore white space. You want your program to ignore when the user enters the initial and hits enter, it actually reads two characters. It reads the initial that the user entered and then the white space from the return. So make sure only with scanf, with character, you put a white space here. With integer and double, you do not. So we need to have a, char initial, and we need an upper initial because I think we have to change it to uppercase and lowercase, and a lower initial. I think we only need to change it to upper. So if the user enters an uppercase initial, then you will print two uppercase initials onto the screen. I believe that was in the instructions. Let's take a look. You get a character from the keyboard, and you get whatever character they enter, even if they enter a symbol, and you change it to uppercase, and then you print the original and the uppercase. So we only need to have the initial and an uppercase version of the initial. Address of, or ampersand, initial. All right, so we're going to ask the user to enter their initial. We're going to get the initial, and then we are going to change the initial to uppercase. So the way that you do that is you use a function called toUpper, and you pass it that initial that the user just entered. It's going to take that initial and change it to an uppercase initial and assign it. So you need to have a variable that's going to capture when it gets assigned. So we will go uppercase initial. And you need to review how to do assignments. This is a function call from the library ctype.h. The function is called toUpper. This function, you're going to call the function the same way you make a function call to printf. Only this function, you're going to call this function toUpper. You're going to pass it the initial that the user entered, and then it's going to take that initial, get the uppercase version of it, and assign it to upper initial. Now, if, for example, the user enters an uppercase, then you'll have two uppercase letters. If they enter a lowercase, you'll have a lowercase and an uppercase. Then we're going to print them both onto the screen and test it and see if it works. So we're going to print you entered, put a placeholder here, %C, and uppercase is %C. So this will be initial is what they entered, and then the uppercase version is upper initial. All right, let's build it and test it. All right, enter an initial. I enter uppercase T. You enter T, uppercase is T. We can try it again. Enter F, lowercase f, you entered lowercase f, uppercase is F. Now if you would like to put little quotations around it, just since it's a character, anything that you put in your printf, I like to put the little quotations. It's not required. Okay, G. So you enter G, uppercase is G. All right, so I'm going to leave you here, and you're going to have to do the cups of coffee and the math. It's not a huge amount of work. So you're just going to have to follow the instructions and complete the second part of program 2 on your own. Of course, with anything in this class, if you need help, please reach out, email me anytime, or go and get help from the different sources that are there to help you. Right, so I hope you have fun doing this program.